What's up, guys, and welcome to NFL Week 14 Player Pool. We have a lot of competitive games this week and a lot of games that have playoff implications. And those competitive games should give us enough opportunity to pivot off the chalk. And I'm going to get into how with DraftKings lineups right after this.
The most advanced sports news and nugget aggregator has arrived. SportNuggets.com is here to help you dominate with unbeatable intel, fantasy, daily fantasy, betting, or flooding the zone with news and nuggets to crush your competition. Our cutting-edge AI delivers instant analysis on player nuggets from the most trusted sources, articles, podcasts, videos. We leave no stone unturned. We mine every word for nuggets on every player, stars, backups, even practice squad sleepers. Our smart filtering lets you cut through the deluge and zero in on specific players, teams, games, or positions. Sort by trending or injury nuggets to find leads to uncover hidden gems. Premium access to expert breakdowns, gaming tips, and analysis that turn nuggets into wins. And if we miss a nugget, our members can jump in to fill the gap. The most commented, liked, or favorited submissions get a boost in our engagement rankings, helping fellow prospectors discover the real gold. Mine the edge. Dominate the game. Join the beta now and start mining before your rivals do.
What's up, guys? Simon Edwards at PumaCom here with Heat Seeker Sports, and you're watching Player Pool, looking at the NFL Week 14 main slate on Sunday for DraftKings. Going to build some lineups and go over the player pool and just do overall analysis on the slate and the matchups that I see on this slate and the value picks that'll be good and all the best picks that I think that we can go with to make our lineups a little bit different and compete in those big field tournaments. But before I do that, make sure to like the video. Get me to 70 likes so I can put my favorite picks in the insights section of sportnuggets.com. You just saw the promo for that. And Sport Nuggets has been really good since it launched about a week and a half ago. And it's been a free beta preview. And it's going to be a free beta preview for a couple more weeks. Sometime before Christmas is when we're going to turn on the subscription options. So make sure to go over there and subscribe right now. You get that free beta preview over at sportnuggets.com. Take advantage of it because it's going to be free for, like I said, like probably a week or two more. And then we're going to figure out, like all the, the pay subscription options. But go over there, comment, have it up during the lead up into the slate. Go over there, explore, find your picks that you think are flying under the radar, sort them, filter them, and look and see what kind of nuggets are coming out from the 700 feeds that we're tracking and trying to give breakdowns and analysis on. And those picks are going to give you an edge. Our site gives you an edge on, trying to learn more about the picks that you're trying to research. It helps you out big time with your news research, finding out the coach speak, finding out what the local sources are saying on these picks. And, just overall going to help you out with your lineup building and research process. So go over there, check out sportnuggets.com, subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. Help me get to 2,400. I only need about 60 more to get there. I've been hitting a lot recently. On the Thursday night game, I had a underdog pick'em that just barely missed. I had to do the pick'em. I have to get my video up the night before the game. So this week I had Tom Kennedy over on 27 and a half receiving yards. And of course, when Amon-Ra got announced in the game right before the game started, that kind of killed that pick. And all my other picks in that pick'em ended up hitting. Usually it's the Heat Seeker that has a little bit of trouble because I pick a long shot, touchdown option. And on this one, the touchdown option ended up hitting. It was Flournoy or Flonay or whatever the hell they pronounce it. And he ended up getting a touchdown in that one. And that would have hit another pick'em for me this season. I've hit 3 so far this season. That would have been the 4th one. And these are not like BS like pick'ems. These are longer odds. I'm trying to get you guys 20 plus X on your returns there. I've had a 87X return. I've had 31X return. I had one that was only a 6X return, but that's because one of the players got scratched before the game started, so it brought the return on it, the multiplier, way down on it. So it ended up hitting without that guy in the lineup. Ended up being a 6X return, and then last night's would have been, or Thursday night's would have been, a 20X return. But like I said, like Tom Kennedy ended up being like a nothing burger once Amon-Ra St. Brown was ruled in for lineups on Thursday right before the game started. And at that point, it's too late to go in there and change your pick. All you can do is basically try to duplicate it and do the reverse on what Tom Kennedy's yardage was, and taking the under on Tom Kennedy's under would have been the sharper move there. But ended up getting 4 out of 5. Those things go up on my short feed for Underdog. Pick them. I'll be putting one up for the main slate as well. Sign up for Underdog using the promo code SEEK, SEEK. You see the promo on the screen right now. They're going to get you a $100 deposit bonus, not a $5, not a $50 deposit bonus, using the promo code SEEK, SEEK. So you play $5 and they're going to give you $100 in bonus cash over there on Underdog. BetMGM, I also have a promo going there. Use the code HEATER1500 and they're going to give you up to $1,500 risk-free first bet. So if you bet, a couple $100 on a pick and it ends up failing for you, they're going to give you a couple $100 in free bonus bets to make. So take advantage of those deals. Use the promo codes. That helps me out. That helps my show out. And just overall free money. You got to take advantage of that. And those are the two of the sites that I use the most when it comes to either my sport betting over at BetMGM or my DFS pick'em plays and playoff best ball, which we got coming up on Underdog. And that's one of my best games. I shipped 2 contests last year, and I'm planning on hopefully doing some more this year. I think this year's playoff scenarios are going to be a lot more fun. I think there's a lot more parity this year. So we're going to have a lot more fun with doing those picks and looking at the matchups so you can advance in those playoffs. So let's get into the slate here. First game up is going to be the Steelers and the Ravens. Let's take a look at the injury report first. Going to go over to ESPN's depth chart. We got some significant injuries on the Pittsburgh side in particular. First off, their offensive line is banged up, missing Calvin Anderson, Broderick Jones, and the left tackle. Right guard, we're missing Sharping, missing Calvin Anderson on the right tackle. Baltimore's defense has been playing better on top of all this damage to the offensive line there. As far as the defense over on Pittsburgh, we're missing Derek Harmon. We're missing Dean Lowry and Jacob Slade. So basically their entire right defensive end is on IR, except for Logan Lee. On the left defensive end, we're missing Loudermilk. If we go down here, this is where we're going to see the some significant injuries here. We got several of the cornerbacks are out, but if you look at the safeties, we're missing Kyle Duggar and we're missing Miles Killebrew. Kyle Duggar being out, that's going to be significant for, I think, Isaiah Likely, because guys, when it comes to Isaiah Likely's matchups, I've hit a lot on Isaiah Likely, and the thing that I look for primarily with Likely is this safety position that he's up against. Because usually if there's depleted or an injured safety position on the opposing team, then they will attack with Isaiah Likely. That's kind of been a trend over the last couple of years. You guys remember in the showdown shows that I did last year when I picked Likely as the captain option, he hit both times for me and ended up being big nights for all the viewers who ended up following suit on that. choosing Isaiah Likely in the captain spot. I had him on this past Thanksgiving slate, and Isaiah Likely very close to having a monster game. He ended up fumbling a touchdown right at the inch yard line or the inch line. And that ended up, being kind of a disaster for us. Ended up having a big game regardless with Isaiah Likely, but he would have been like just a massive, massive hit for us in the tight end position on the main slate on Thanksgiving, but also in the captain slate where I had him in as a captain option for us, but ends up like just dropping that touchdown right at the inch line, and it just kind of killed that play. But the reason why I had him was because of the damage to the actually no, because Cincinnati is just vulnerable in general to the tight end position. But now with Pittsburgh, we got damage to their tight end, in safety defense. So that's going to be a good setup for Isaiah Likely this week for us. On top of that, Pittsburgh's already giving up 16 DraftKings points a game to the tight end position. So I'm going to switch back over to take a look at Likely real quick. Likely going to be a good play for us this week on DraftKings. He's only at 3,100 too, so I like the salary relief we're getting with him. You can see last week on Thanksgiving, 5 receptions off 6 targets for 95 yards, and we had him at relatively low ownership. We had him 22% owned, I think, is what he was in the captain over there on the DraftKings main slate, and then we had him as a very low owned captain option on DraftKings Showdown. Ended up getting 13.5 DraftKings points for us. That would have been over 20 if he'd held on to that ball, and would have been a completely different situation. I think he might have gone over 100 yards if he held on to that too. So yeah, just an unfortunate event for Isaiah Likely, but at the same time, I'm kind of glad he didn't. He did just enough to be worth his value on that slate without being noticed on this slate, because Isaiah Likely is going to be in a good spot at 3,100 and probably next to nothing as far as his ownership. If we're looking at the quarterback situation, Lamar Jackson has been struggling, very, very unlike what we usually see out of Lamar Jackson. On top of that, let's see what he's done against Pittsburgh here. Steelers pass defense has been really good recently. They've been basically since week 8 when they started to get healthy, they've been holding quarterbacks to low point totals, including Josh Allen had a 5.3 fantasy points against them. Let's see, 5.3 yards per pass attempt. I'm reading a blurb here by Rich Rebar over at Sharp Football Analysis. Other quarterbacks that have thrown under 70 yards per pass attempt include Daniel Jones, Justin Herbert, Joe Flacco, and Caleb Williams. So they've been doing pretty good against some of these quarterbacks that have played well recently. Joe Burrow had a decent game against the Ravens last week, but I'm talking about Pittsburgh here. So with Lamar Jackson, not really a great matchup for him, but let's see if they've played so far this season. No, they haven't played yet this season. But this is a kind of a do or die matchup for Lamar Jackson this week with the team's playoff hopes. They need to start winning some games here, because Cincinnati just got Joe Burrow back. They're only 2 games behind Pittsburgh and Baltimore, who are tied for first in the division, I believe. And the winner of this game is going to be, obviously a game ahead of the other one. But Cincinnati, if they win 2, they're going to pick up a game on whoever the loser is of this matchup. And if Cincinnati starts gaining steam towards the end of the season, then they're going to be they're going to be in play for actually, potentially winning the division with Joe Burrow back and all the weapons that they have. So keep that in mind. The importance of this game between the Ravens and the Steelers. Aaron Rodgers has just been a disaster recently. 3.7 DraftKings points last week, 9.4 a couple weeks ago. Just the guy cannot get double-digit points the last month or so. Fractured his wrist, even worse for him. And on top of that, he's in an Arthur Smith offense already. So, I mean, just everything against Aaron Rodgers having a decent game in this one. On top of that, Baltimore's defense is pretty good. Baltimore has been allowing only 12.5 DraftKings points a game to the quarterback position. So, by the way, with that Lamar matchup, the Pittsburgh D, despite being a better the last few weeks or so, have been allowing 19.6 DraftKings points a game to that quarterback position. So this game could go either way. It could be a low-scoring game. Check the weather on it too. It's wintertime in Baltimore Northeast. We could get some wind or the super cold type of weather, or it doesn't look like we're getting any precipitation or rain or snow or anything like that. But if it ends up being super cold, or we end up in a windy game, both these players, Jackson and Rodgers, have played in those conditions throughout their careers. But it'll hurt the passing game if that wind gets crazy, or if there's any sort of crazy wind that day. With the running back position, Derrick Henry, he hasn't been doing too much. Didn't do too much on Thanksgiving anyways, against that easy matchup against Cincinnati. He got 17.4 DraftKings points. Cincinnati was well in the lead in that game, so he was basically scripted out after the first quarter. I think he got most of these points in the first half of the game, if not the first quarter of this game. With the previous games where they went on their little run there, he got 22.8 DraftKings points and 23.2, but then he had 11.4 and 16.1. And those are games where were set up, perfectly for Derrick Henry games. So he's been slowing down a little bit this year, but still capable, as we saw a few weeks ago, of scoring decent points. But he's at 7,500 against Pittsburgh's defense, which is giving up, they're only giving up 19.5 DraftKings points a game to the running back position. So not an ideal matchup for him. It's more of a passing matchup for Baltimore in this one. The Steelers like to emphasize stopping the run, and so that's not good for Derrick Henry this week. We got with Jaylen Warren. Jaylen Warren splitting time pretty much evenly with Kenny Gainwell, but the matchup here favors Gainwell more. The Ravens been giving up 17.9 DraftKings points a game to the running back position, so not a great matchup overall. But the Gainwell situation is one that I prefer. You can see it in the weeks 11 and 12, where he had 29.5 DraftKings points and 18.2. He did have a big game earlier in the season too, 31 DraftKings points. Gainwell is getting more opportunity bumps recently, and this is a matchup that actually favors him more. Let me see what the exact matchup advantage is. Okay, so Rich Rebar did a write-up on this, and he wrote about how on shotgun runs, Kenny Gainwell does a lot better, and with Aaron Rodgers' wrist injury, they were doing a lot more in that type of formation. So, expect potentially Gainwell to have a bigger game in this one than Warren, but it's a bad matchup in general, but he's at 5K. And if you want to play the angle that maybe this game shoots out a little bit with these teams playing for first place in the division, then Gainwell would probably be my place to turn to for running back if I wanted a cheap running back option. With the wide receivers, let's see, the Steelers are giving up 22.8 DraftKings points a game to wideouts. That's good for Flowers. They've been giving up 12.8 to the slot too. So they've been vulnerable to passing weapons along with the quarterback. And they're giving up 16.2 to the tight end, which is why I like Likely this week. I also like Andrews. I think he'd be a good option as well. But I don't know if I'd play them both together, but I like one of the Ravens tight ends this week in this matchup. With Metcalf, Rodgers just is not doing anything for Metcalf. He's struggled throughout the season, has not had very many big weeks. These teams are going to face each other again pretty soon, too. It looks like they haven't faced each other yet this season. So they get two matchups against each other. So, it just raises the stakes even more for this game. Rashad Bateman has been MIA. But he does have that good matchup. Let's see, with the Steelers weapons. I don't really see anyone that any matchup that stands out. The Ravens are giving up 21.9 DraftKings points a game to the wideouts. They're giving up only 9 DraftKings points to Pittsburgh's tight ends. So, Rodgers won't have those tight ends to put up points for him. And they're in a timeshare anyways. But as far as likely probably my favorite play in this game. And, I don't hate using Andrews too. Andrews is at 4,100, though I take the discount on likely. And then those Ravens passing game. If you do the Ravens passing game, make sure to figure out how to run it back with the Steelers. I just don't have a read on the Steelers. I would probably go Metcalf, but like I said, Metcalf has been a complete dud with Rodgers, so that's going to be a tough one to kind of figure out. With the Seahawks versus Atlanta. We're looking at a 44.5 point total with the Seahawks as 6.5 point favorites in this one. This game is interesting to me because it's two teams with lots of offensive firepower, weapons. And we're looking at a game in a dome, and it's Atlanta as 6.5 point dogs in this one at home. And, those setups are usually great setups for showdown to pick the underdog. So on a main slate, it's a little bit harder to go there with so many good options this week. But I could see a potential, Atlanta pushing Seattle a little bit more than people expect. It's unfortunate that we're missing Drake London in this one. We're also missing Horton over on Seattle. That's not as significant. They got Rashid Shaheed. But let's take a look at some of these other injuries. We'll go to Seattle first. See what kind of injuries we got there. Their defense was a target for us early in the season, but then they got healthy and they've been crushing it. But we got a few guys on IR. Julian Love is on IR. Chaz Surratt, Riley Mills, Jerron Reed. As far as the significant injuries earlier in the season, like Reek Woolen is back, Devin Witherspoon is back. I think one of these guys, Leonard Williams, DeMarcus Lawrence, was hurt at one point in the season, but they're healthy now, a lot healthier than they were earlier in the season. Their defense has been crushing it. So nothing really matchup advantage there. If we go to Atlanta, with Atlanta, Drake London is out. That sucks for Kirk Cousins, but it's good for Darnell Mooney if we wanted to partake in Darnell Mooney. But the secondary of Seattle being healthy, that's a little bit tougher unless we want to play that angle where we think that, maybe Atlanta can make this game competitive. If Atlanta makes this game competitive, maybe Kirk Cousins always traditionally, plays well at home in a dome, and he is a year and a half removed now, or 2 years removed now from that Achilles injury, and he's played a few games. He's gotten a few games under his belt already. Let's take a look at his price tag. He's only at 4,500. So while the matchup is not great, the Seahawks only giving up 16 DraftKings points a game to the quarterback position. If we wanted to play the angle on this of home dogs coming out aggressive and trying to win this, I don't hate Kirk Cousins at 4,500. I would probably stack him with Kyle Pitts, with Seattle giving up 16.4 DraftKings points a game to the tight end position. That sets up Kyle Pitts to have a decent game. He's at 4,200 though, so he's kind of expensive, and I like other tight ends better than him. But just gives you an idea there. With the Falcons, they are giving up only 10.3 DraftKings points a game to the tight end position, so I don't like the tight ends as much on the other side. With the wideouts, Smith and Jigba obviously would play a big role if this became a shootout situation or a competitive game. Rashid Shaheed is a guy that is kind of interesting this week. Let's go to Shaheed's background. Let's see. Sorry, guys, I'm sharing the wrong tab. Let's go to Shaheed's background. Let's see. Shaheed has a background against this team, obviously. Shaheed being a former New Orleans Saint, so in the same division as. Sorry, I lost my screen share there, guys. So he's in the same division formerly as the Falcons. So he's got experience against the Falcons. Let's go over and see what his performances have been against them. We sort by opponent over on Pro Football Reference. Going to scroll down to the Saints, or to the Falcons, and you see that when he was with the Saints, he had a game, 11 targets, 8 receptions, 83 yards, no touchdowns in that one. 4 targets, 3 receptions, 65 yards, and a touchdown. He had a dud game in there in 2023, 5 targets, though, 2 receptions for 9 yards. And then he had a 4 target, 3 reception, 95 yards, and a touchdown. So overall, Shaheed has done really well against this Atlanta team. And his experience against this team might give him opportunity in this one at 4,400. So if we do think that this one is going to be a little bit more competitive, then Rashid Shaheed is in a good spot against an Atlanta defense that's given up 28 DraftKings points a game to wideouts. And, that's going to obviously benefit Jackson Smith and Jigba as well. It's basically a pick your poison for Seattle. They could go the running game against Seattle, who's giving or against Atlanta, who's giving up 29.4 DraftKings points a game to the running back position, or Seattle could go to the pass game. Obviously, they got Jackson Smith and Jigba as a weapon. Had his worst week last week against Minnesota, which is a really good defense. But, we know what Smith and Jigba is capable of. And I think in this matchup, he's capable of reverting back to 20-plus DraftKings points. He's at 9K, so he's expensive. So it's a little bit difficult to get him in. But if we're stacking Smith and Jigba and Rashid Shaheed then Darnold would be in play for us. He's at 5,500 though. He hasn't warranted that salary in weeks. But the last time I was on Sam Darnold was as a captain option in the Seattle versus Washington showdown game, and he came through for us. I think that this is the type of game where they might want to get Sam Darnold. They got to get him right because he's had a couple weeks recently against the Rams, against the Cardinals, and against the Vikings last week, where he needs to build his confidence up a little bit. And this Atlanta defense might be a good opportunity for that, giving up 18.7 DraftKings points a game to the quarterback position. If Atlanta at home is able to make this game competitive, then we could see Sam Darnold have a nice game in this one. The weakness, like I said, is going to be the running back position too for Atlanta's defense. They're giving up 29 DraftKings points to the running back. Problem is with Kenneth Walker, he keeps getting sniped on touchdowns by Zach Charbonnet, and he's got he's getting plenty of opportunities, but he's not getting the valuable opportunities. So he's running for decent yardage as far as yards per attempt. We see 6.5 in there, 4.8, 4.2, 4.3. But Charbonnet is the one that's getting all the red zone opportunities and the end zone opportunities, and he's the guy scoring touch. So it's like the worst kind of split between these guys. So, I tend to stay away, even though it's a 29 DraftKings points is what they're giving up. I tend to stay away from that. Bijan Robinson is in a matchup where they're only giving up 16.9 DraftKings points, but I think in a game that's going to be competitive, you're going to need a guy like Bijan to step up, and he's done it in difficult matchups in the past. So he's got the upside to have a decent performance in this one, but we'll have to see with that one. So I think that is it for this game. Let's move on to Tennessee versus Cleveland. Tennessee versus Cleveland, we are looking at let's see, this is probably the lowest scoring game on the slate, 33.5 points, with Cleveland as 3.5-point favorites in this one. They're playing in Cleveland. Looks like we've got some weather concerns here. So let me check and see what Kevin Roth is saying about weather in this one. All right, so I'm going to share over to Roto Grinders. We'll take a look at Tennessee, Cleveland. Temperature around freezing, winds around 10 miles an hour, and snow showers in the area. None of those factors are all that impactful on their own, but the combination is a slight downgrade to the offense. There's already a bad situation for the offense just based on their personnel. Gut feeling is that may look worse on TV than it will be for any players. So, that's going to be interesting. While we're at weather, let's look at all the weather situations. Saints at Tampa Bay, chance for rain. Looks like it chance for rain, but not overly concerned about rain. With Indy at Jacksonville, this is more likely to see rain and potentially heavier rain as well. This is interesting for this Indy Jacksonville game because a lot of people are going to be on this game. It's going to be a competitive game. And I know people say, don't avoid rain. I avoid rain games. It's burned me every time I've gone against my instincts and played a rain game. I always get bit in the ass when I do it. I stay away from rain games when it's going to be heavy rain. Cincinnati, Buffalo, a good chance for snow and 30-degree temperatures with light winds. Same with might look worse on TV than it is for the offense. So Cincinnati, Buffalo, we keep that in mind there. With Chicago, Green Bay, frigid temperatures, high winds. No high winds, so that's good. And Cleveland, Tennessee, we're seeing freezing temperature, winds around 10, and snow showers in the area. So good information there with the weather reports, games that we might want to be cautious of. At least I'll be cautious of Jacksonville versus Indy. With his Cleveland game, you could make a case for Shadir Sanders with Tennessee giving up 19.8 DraftKings points a game to the quarterback position. Like I said last week, at 4,400, all he has to do is hit 16 DraftKings points. So if you look at some of the interaction between Shadir Sanders and Cam Ward before the draft, when they were at combine or they were at some skill some skill display event or something like that. I can't remember if it was the combine or something else, but Sanders was trying to be friendly with Cam Ward. He said something about doing a rap together or something like that. And Cam Ward was just a complete dick to him, and basically told him to F off. And Sanders, it made Sanders look kind of stupid, but Sanders does a pretty good job of that himself a lot of times. But the fact that these two are now playing each other, Sanders was supposed to be a high draft pick, obviously tanked in the draft just based on his interview process and just dumb stuff his dad was saying and he was saying. It just tanked his value in the draft. Ends up in a starting job with Cleveland anyways, and now he's facing off against Cam Ward in what should have been first and second quarterback picks in the draft, but didn't end up that way. But Shadir Sanders, this could be an important game for him on a personal level, and I would not be surprised to see him focused in this game and go a little bit above expectations against this terrible Tennessee defense. I know they're going to run the ball a lot in this one, but we could see, maybe Sanders run one in, or we could see Sanders, get that 16 DraftKings points that we would need out of him at a 4,400 price point, which would be valuable in this slate. So we probably want to get about 4.4. We probably want about 17 DraftKings points out of Shadir in this matchup. And that's completely doable against a Tennessee defense that's given up 19.8 DraftKings points a game to the quarterback position. That's one of the best matchups you can ask for. And it's a spot for Shadir Sanders to kind of, stick it to Cam Ward a little bit. I'll try and I'll do a nugget of that moment. I'll try to track down the video and make it into a nugget over on Sport Nuggets so that you guys can check it out. Let me check and see if if there's anything up there already about it. Take a drink real quick first. I'm going to share over the Sport Nuggets screen. All right, so we're looking over at Sport Nuggets. Going to filter it by Cleveland, the Cleveland game here, and we'll take a look real quick. I want to find out if we got any interesting news. So we got a defensive tackle out, Shy Tuttle. We'll check over on the depth chart and see where he's at on the depth chart. We got a safety and concussion. Oh, he cleared concussion protocol. So Kendall Brooks is coming off of concussion. Let's see. Myles Garrett is going for a record on sacks. That's another good nugget there. We got Gunnar Helm, who stepped up recently. I had him as a insight last week. He came through for us, had a decent week. But Cam Ward, I had him also as one of my favorite quarterbacks, and the guy just sucks. I could not even watch that game. He was just so freaking bad. Let's see. Let me try and find. And honestly, Cam Ward could probably try to give it back to Sanders. He's not going to want to get shown up by Sanders in this game either. So we got some interesting developments that are going to happen there. We got a guard out. Wyatt Teller is out, unfortunately. Let's see. Okay, so let me just sort it by Shadir. I don't know if let's see, making progress. I'm going to do a nugget for that moment because I think it's a good narrative for Sanders. Let's see. Mary Kay Cabot has an article up that might be interesting to read. That's got stuff on the rivalry between Shadir Sanders and Cam Ward. So go check out that article. You can find it at sportnuggets.com. Just click on Mary Kay Cabot, and you'll be able to access that article there. But yeah, like I'm gonna put up a nugget with the video of their interaction if I can find it. It was just like Cam Ward was a complete dick to Shadir Sanders, and that I kind of like those little narratives, trying to run with those little narratives on a spot like this where I need to justify putting Shadir Sanders in a lineup at 4,400. So it could be an interesting situation there. Tennessee's also given up 26.1 DraftKings points a game to wideouts. They've been weakest against the slot and against the left-leaning wide receivers. That'd be Jerry Jeudy in this one. Now, Jerry Jeudy and Shadir Sanders had a back and forth in that last game. Maybe they try to get back on the same page in this one. I could see Jeudy maybe getting a big game against this team. We also have who was the other guy I was just talking about? Tillman could be interesting. He hasn't been getting targeted much from Sanders. As a matter of fact, let's go over and look at the target shares for these guys. I'm going to go to wide receiver. Going to sort it by team. I'm going to go to Cleveland over on Fantasy Pros. I'm looking for Cleveland, and we see Jerry Jeudy had 84% snap count. Cedric Tillman had a 63% snap count. They're going to be set up for a couple deep shots in this one. Cedric Tillman would be interesting in a spot like this. Then as far as the rest, not really much interesting in the rest of these wideouts. So Cedric Tillman could be interesting. Jerry Jeudy. I wouldn't double stack Shadir Sanders with any of these guys. They've also been given up. Tennessee's been given up 12.8 to the tight end position, and Fannin has been his favorite target. He scored a touchdown last week, 5 targets last week, 6 targets the week before that, 5, 7. You've seen him get a lot of targets. He hasn't done much with those targets, but Fannin could be in line for a short touchdown. I think Sanders is going to run in a touchdown in this one. I thought that last week. The matchup wasn't great for him to do it last week, but this is teeing up for Sanders, like rushing touchdown or a deep shot to either Jerry Jeudy or Cedric Tillman in this one. And if Cam Ward actually shows some skill set in this one, then you could probably run it back with Cleveland's given up. They've been most vulnerable to the tight end position. So maybe you run it back with Gunnar Helm or something, or, potentially run it back. They've been vulnerable. Cleveland's been more vulnerable to the run, believe it or not. Like as far as DraftKings points, they're beginning up 23.4. That's probably in the passing game. So that might favor Spears a little bit more, but he's 4,900. He's not cheap enough for me to experiment with. If I was going to run it back with anyone, it'd probably just be Gunnar Helm or nobody. I'd just go naked on the Cleveland side and skip the Tennessee side, unless you think that the game shoots out a little bit. But you can go with DK or someone like that if you like that situation. But that's, just kind of a sneakier stack that we could do this week against two like sloppy shootout potential teams here. Indy at Jacksonville. And of course, the Cleveland D is probably like one of the best defenses on the slate this week, especially with Garrett chasing that sack record going against Cam Ward, who's just putrid. Indy versus Jacksonville. We're looking at a 46.5 point total, but like I said, a lot of rain in this one expected. Keep an eye on that weather. We got a 1.5 point total or 1.5 point spread in this one in favor of Indy. They're playing in Jacksonville. So, Indy on the road as favorites is kind of interesting to me, considering how well Jacksonville's been playing. Jacksonville, it's all been Trevor Lawrence rushing touchdowns basically in his run game. One rushing touchdown a couple weeks ago, then he had two the other week. But that's been bumping up his scores big time. We saw that 21 DraftKings point score. He would have been down at like 14, 15 DraftKings points without that rushing touchdown. This one where he scored 22, he would have been, down about 7 DraftKings points. So, his running is really actually, sorry, that would have been 9 DraftKings points. That wouldn't have affected this 21 DraftKings points game. He was had that rushing touchdown in this game. But that, kind of goes to show with Trevor Lawrence, he's not really supporting his supporting cast, but he is capable of rushing in a touchdown. So we've seen that with the Indy defense. They're giving up 18.1 DraftKings points a game to the quarterback position. Jacksonville's given up 19.6. So Daniel Jones will be in play for us too. Did these guys play each other already? I don't see that they have played each other already. So they could be playing again in the next couple weeks as well, being division rivals. So this game is going to be important for divisional reasons. They are both competing for the lead in the division. Let me go ahead and check and see where that is at right quick. So we'll check out the playoff situation. Playoff situations mean a lot at this time of year, especially against division opponents that are battling for that division. Looking at the let's see, AFC South, we got Jacksonville and Indy are tied. Going to be a good game, a meaningful game in this one, and that's why people like this game to shoot out. But the problem is going to be the weather. How is the weather going to impact this game? You could see Jonathan Taylor, if he gets in a groove running it, you could slow the game way down. Tight ends in this game both have good matchups, with Tyler Warren in a great matchup, with the Jags giving up 21.1 DraftKings points a game. The other side, Indy's giving up 20 DraftKings points a game. So we got Strange in a good matchup too. Both these guys are, having good season. Like Strange is a little bit underpriced at 3,900 maybe. But last couple weeks, double-digit points. He's gotten double-digit points a lot. He's one of the targets who has not been negatively impacted by Trevor Lawrence. Brian Thomas, look at how putrid he's been. He's got 1 week over wide receiver, basically 1 week with a wide receiver 1 type of score with 23 DraftKings points back in week 6. He's been hurt. Did he play last week? Yeah, he came back last week, only 4.8 DraftKings points against Tennessee. So it gives you an idea of Brian Thomas. Jacoby Myers, he's actually been decent with Trevor Lawrence. He's probably been the only weapon that's been decent apart from Brenton Strange. 21 DraftKings points last week. But for the most part, with these weapons, we're lucky if we see him get over this 15-point mark. So that 21 is an outlier for Jacoby Myers. If we go to Parker Washington, he's the other guy that Trevor Lawrence likes. 18 DraftKings points, 17 DraftKings points, kind of been his ceiling there. But you're getting an idea, like Trevor Lawrence has not been elevating these guys. Trevor Lawrence is getting into the red zone and then running in touchdowns to boost his own fantasy score. So, if you play Trevor Lawrence, you don't necessarily need to stack him with any of these guys, with them all being, kind of expensive, 5,900, 5,700. Parker Washington's at 5K. Brenton Strange is the only one at a relatively decent value at 3,900. But I think you can run Lawrence naked if you wanted to. As far as the Colts side, let's see. The matchup for the Colts would favor the quarterback position. Daniel Jones again at 19.6. You could stack them with the tight end position where they're giving up 21.1, and then maybe we stack him with Pittman. Let me see what the matchup looks like there. So, injuries too. I'll go over here in a second, but like with Pittman, I saw a article that had a good note on Pittman against the type of defense that the Jags run. So according to Rebar, again, I'll go back to Rebar Sharp Football Analysis, Jags are 10th in the league in too high safety defense, which is Michael Pittman, where he's primarily been the preferred target. He's got 26.9% targets against too high safeties. So Pittman would be probably the guy that I would lean towards if I was picking a weapon out to stack Daniel Jones with, if you want to stack Daniel Jones in this game. And then, of course, you could go with, Jonathan Taylor or double stack him with Tyler Warren. Maybe run him back with Brenton Strange, or really with Indy. Maybe you could run him back with Jacoby Jones has been running out wide, so you could maybe go with Jacoby in this one. Other than that, yeah, I don't really like these Jags passing weapons. They've burned me a few times this season, but don't let that influence you guys in your decision making. Let me check real quick at the injury report, because there's a lot of defensive injuries here on the Colts this week that could help us out as well. The primary being Sauce Gardner, who's out this week. There's another corner that's out. Who was the other one? I thought there was another corner out. Looks like not, but we got a few safeties. Some damage on the safeties with Hunter Wohler and Daniel Scott on IR. We got Jacob Phillips on IR. DeForest Buckner is another big one, being on IR for the passing game here, and Tyquan Lewis being out. That's another damage to the Indy pass rush. So they're going to be in a situation where they're not going to be able to put as much pressure maybe on Trevor Lawrence in this one. And Trevor Lawrence last week had all day to throw. And if you watch the game back, you see he had plenty of time to throw. Like, it was one of the rare passing performances where Trevor Lawrence is able to put up 20 plus DraftKings points just on passing alone, without worrying about the running, just because he had literally all day to put up points last week and pass the ball against Tennessee. It was just absolutely terrible. And that's another reason, with Shadir Sanders, if Shadir Sanders has that much time to throw the ball on Sunday, then he's going to have opportunities to throw that deep ball there against against Tennessee. Let's go back over to these depth charts. Let's go take a look at Jacksonville real quick. If you're looking at Jacksonville, Walker Little is going to be out. So they got damage to the offensive line. Cooper Hodges, Travis Hunter, obviously on IR. Parker Washington is questionable. We want to watch Parker Washington. I think I'd like Jacoby Myers even more. Now the safeties over on Jacksonville here. We got Wingard out and we got Ransaw on IR. So they're down to, and then on the strong safeties, we got Eric Murray on IR. So we're down to, just a couple safeties here for Jacksonville. So, that tight end matchup for, let's go back to him. I like that tight end matchup even more for Warren with that damage to those safeties. I think that's going to be, the primary way to attack. And if they're going like a high rate of too high, then Pittman obviously would improve too. So Pittman and Warren, if you're going to double stack Daniel Jones in this one, those are the guys I'd double stack him with. And just be cautious of the rain in that one. Jonathan Taylor, cover him while I'm here. It goes without saying, he's had actually a few weeks recently, but that's been against Houston, KC, and Pitt, who have capabilities of defending against the run well. In this particular matchup, Jacksonville has been good against the run, giving up 15.6 DraftKings points. But, Taylor, I would tend to lean more towards the passing game in this. But, you could go with Taylor, obviously. ETN, Indy has been giving up. Let's see. Indy's been giving up 23.1. That's a middling matchup for ETN. But he's got Tootin poaching some of these high leverage situations and taking the touchdowns. So it's similar to a Seattle situation. So I'm focused on the passing game here. If I'm looking at Washington versus Minnesota, we got a 43.5 point total with Washington as 1.5 point favorites in this one. They're playing in a dome. We don't have the weather concerns in this one. And we got a competitive game set up. We got a situation with 9 where Washington's given up 22 DraftKings points a game to the quarterback position. And what better time to target this idiot than with that good situation as far as his matchup with the defense. A lot of people were high on this guy. Like you've seen the memes of him. It's just a goofball. And I've had trouble understanding why people are so high. I'm not a college football fan, so I'm not really familiar with his college background, but apparently he was when he was in college, obviously won the national championship, but apparently people like what they saw out of him in college, but like he's just been an absolute goofball in the NFL. The memes speak for themselves with JJ McCarthy. But that being said, the recent performance and the negative news about him is going to take his ownership way down, and he's at 4,700, and he's up against a matchup that's given up 22 DraftKings points. Let me check ownership and see if there's any truthers out there on JJ McCarthy. He's down at 5.3% ownership, so still has relatively high ownership than he deserves. As far as the stacking partner there, they're giving up Washington's given up 23 DraftKings points a game to wideouts. So that is going to put Jefferson in play for us, but also Addison. Jefferson, 6, 6, 9, 12, 9 targets the last several weeks. Addison, we're looking at 10 targets last week, 1, 7, 11, and 4. So either one of these guys or both could be in play this week in a dome against a terrible pass defense and in a very tight game total at 1.1 spread in this one. We also got the return of Jaden Daniels. So if they're able to, to put up points on this one and force Minnesota into a passing situation, we could actually see a situation where McCarthy is going to be usable. So I'm not writing him off in this week's slate, especially given the environment and the weather, being in a dome and all those considerations. So he's got the weapons. Washington does too. I like McLaurin for Washington. We finally saw him have a decent week last week, 22.6 DraftKings points. He's been hurt for most of the season. I was saying it in the beginning of the season that I was going to avoid Terry McLaurin in best ball drafts just because I didn't like the holdout. And usually when these wideouts hold out prior to the season starting, they just come out rusty as hell. Slot has the better matchup, 8.5 DraftKings points, but Debo has not been delivering. Tight end, they've been giving up, Minnesota's been giving up 13.7 to tight ends. So we could see Zach Ertz be a good run back option, but I just think there's better run back options for us. I would probably just go McLaurin and hope that he's able to have a good game in this one. So some options there. We got Miami versus the Jets. Miami versus the Jets. We got a 41.5 point total with Miami as 3-point favorites in this one against the Jets. They are playing in New York. Cold weather games are not good for Tua. We've seen it in the playoffs. We've seen it in multiple occasions where he just absolutely crumbles. Let me go back to that weather situation with. Let's see. Let's go back to that weather situation with Roth here. Did they say anything about the Jets game? I don't see anything about the Jets game. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think that doesn't look like there's anything to be concerned about weather-wise. We got 42 degrees in New York today. Tomorrow is going to be, 41 at the high. So it's not overly cold in New York right now either. So, I know some people are going to be on Tyrod Taylor this week. The Jets are giving up, Miami's giving up 16.5 to the quarterback position. The Jets are giving up 15.2. So yeah, I really don't like Tua in this one. If we go to running back, the Jets are giving up 26.9 DraftKings points a game to the running back position. So Achane is set up there. If you're going to stack Tyrod Taylor, I don't hate the play. We're looking for cheap guys always on this show. The matchup isn't terrible for Taylor, but I think I would probably rather go with one of his receivers and not stack him with Taylor. Jets have been pretty smart with their receivers. They picked up Mechie and they picked up Adonai Mitchell, and they're just giving these guys opportunity. And we saw 12 targets for Mitchell last week, and he put up 27.2 DraftKings points. they got a veteran quarterback throwing to these receivers just to see what they got. They got a bunch of draft picks coming up, first round picks coming up in the next couple years. So they're going to have a chance to build their team. So they got nothing to lose by just peppering these guys with targets and seeing what they got. Both these guys were high prospects coming out of college. Mechie had a setback with cancer, setback caused by cancer, where he wasn't able to come out of the gates swinging as a rookie. He missed a year due to the cancer diagnosis, and then he just never was able to get up to speed in the Texans. They traded him to the Jets here, or actually, I think he was with a different team before the Jets. He was with the Giants, I think, or no, he was with Philly for like a little while, and then he got signed to the Jets. And they're just giving him opportunities. And Mechie 4,500, Mitchell is 4,600. Mitchell was infamous for having a really good separation score. Like separation when he's in coverage, but he was not good at catching the ball. But he's getting the targets now. They're trying to force the subject to see if he's going to be able to catch balls, and they're doing the right thing by doing that with the Jets. They're actually being smart about it, and they're going to continue to do that, I think, for the rest of the season with Mitchell and Mechie. Both these guys, really good prospects coming out of school, and they're in a matchup where we could see them get opportunities against Miami. Miami only giving up 15.2 DraftKings points a game to the wideout position. They've been more vulnerable to the tight end, which brings us to another rookie, or to a rookie with Taylor here. And Taylor, they could pepper him with targets too. And he's at 3,300. He could get opportunity in this one. So I don't mind taking a flyer on one of those guys as a cheap option. And then I like Achane, like I said at the beginning there. New Orleans versus Tampa Bay. This game, we are looking at a 41.5 point total with Tampa Bay's 8.5 point favorites in this one. We got a division rivalry here. So, we got the rain situation that we talked about earlier. Bucky Irving is back finally. He had 16 DraftKings points last week. He's perfectly capable in any matchup of putting up one of these 29 DraftKings points type of weeks. New Orleans has been vulnerable to the run, giving out 22.2 DraftKings points a game to running backs. They've been vulnerable because they're getting a huge volume versus running backs. Teams are just running the ball on them. On the other side, the Bucs have been vulnerable to the passing game. They're giving up 21.7 to the quarterback position. So, if this game became competitive between division rivals, Tyler Shuck is interesting. He's had a couple weeks recently with 19 points. He's at 4,600. That's what we would need, just like Shadir Sanders, out of Shuck to be valuable to us. The last game he played against Tampa Bay, he only put up 5.3 DraftKings points, but I think that was his first start. So, he's got more starts under his belt now, and he's shown some upside with 19-point weeks. Mayfield was talking a lot of smack leading into this game about New Orleans. So, don't be surprised to see New Orleans get a little bit fired up for this one. Running back, the Bucs have been giving up 27 DraftKings points a game to the running back position. With Kamara still out, Devin Neal gets that opportunity. That'll make him interesting. I tried to force Taysom last week with the same situation. It was a perfect setup for a Taysom Hill week, and he did not deliver. I just don't think that this new coaching staff wants to use Taysom the same way as we saw out of the previous regime. As far as slot receivers, Tampa Bay's been vulnerable to slots as well, giving up 13.6. Let's check out the injury situation here for Tampa Bay. Let's see what their injury situation is telling us. So as far as the defense, do we have? Yeah, Jamel Dean is back. So, that was a big part of why they've been giving up so much, at least recently. I can't remember how many weeks he's been out. I think he's been out about 2 weeks. But looks like they're otherwise healthier on the defense. Tristan Wirf on the offense is questionable for the offensive line. We got Evans and McMillan coming closer to playing, so keep an eye on them. Like, we could see McMillan activated for this one. Otherwise, we got Igbuka and Godwin, who are both going to be in play this week. I think my favorite play is probably going to be Bucky Irving in this one. But yeah, I mean, the injury situation makes it interesting. Let's go over to Sport Nuggets and see if we got any interesting nuggets on this game. I mean, this week is perfect for Sport Nuggets because there's going to be a lot of competitive matchups where we can find some of these hidden gems. Irving back from injury. Let's see. Evans looking like he's going to return soon. Bucky Irving, another Bucky Irving, this Believe in Steelers podcast that talks about it. Tristan Wirfs, if you want to get an update on his injury, come over here and just click on this and it'll take you directly to the time-stamped reference to him. You just click play. You can minimize this too and put it wherever you want. Let's see. Sean Tucker. All right. Sean Tucker is considered a sleeping giant, potential secret weapon that could be utilized more heavily, especially against teams like the Saints. So you want to come over to here and listen to that nugget on Sean Tucker. McMillan practicing but ruled out this week. Okay, so we got him ruled out, it seems like. So you can come over here to Sport Nuggets and get the most recent updates from any of these guys, and just kind of monitor, see what's happening with the interesting plays in this game, and have your tab open up to lock too, because the injury updates they're going to be coming in basically at real time. So we're a couple minutes off of real time right now, but you're going to get those injury updates and the consequences of those injury updates. So keep an eye on Sport Nuggets. Leave that tab open on game day because it's an easy place to find quick information. You're not having to do searches for it. You're not having to do the filters are easy. If you go to the main page, they're coming in on a regular basis. You can see the 5 minutes ago was the last updates that we got, and that was when they're referencing the Locker Room podcast. So you got a bunch of guys mentioned in that podcast. You're going to hear like what local sources are saying about players. So you get to hear a local Houston podcast talking about the players, and they'll know situations to monitor and to watch for the team better than any fantasy analyst or anyone on a national level would, because these guys are more familiar with the ins and outs of the team. They'll be able to tell you more about the background players and stuff like that, which is why I like referencing local sources. Let's see. Also with Sport Nuggets too, like if you sign up for an account, leave comments on here as well. I'm trying to get the engagement up on this site. Like, we see all the comments that you guys are posting. If you like a nugget, hit that like button. It elevates the rating when we're getting lots of engagement on individual nuggets. It helps push that nugget engagement score. And eventually that's going to be like a sort option so that we can see kind of a crowdsourcing of these nuggets. So yeah, get in there and do that. Just use the site actively, mess around with it. We're going to have a situation where the best comment, I'm going to give away a Sport Nuggets t-shirt at some point to the best comment. We'll probably do that before Christmas. So make sure to get in there and start commenting. And, I might decide to give away a t-shirt early. Just make sure to just kind of mess around with it and explore it a little bit. And a lot of good opportunities to find these nuggets over here. And, there's a few that I'm going to be keeping an eye on. If we go to insights, I'm going to sort it by insights. I'll give you a couple of the insights that I've put already for this slate. I wrote one up on Isaiah Likely. I can show you what that one is. If you watch my game script shows, basically what I talked about earlier, Pittsburgh has already been weak for its tight end, allowing 16 DraftKings points to the position. This to me is a good setup spot to fire up Likely as a cheap and low-owned option in DFS, especially if you're looking for salary relief. Go a little bit more in depth there, but gives you an idea what these insights are basically. And you do that, you get to them by hitting sort, and you sort by insights, and that's going to give you the guys that have insights. Sometimes I write fades, sometimes I write guys that I like, and you guys can get there. Sign up for a free account now. Free beta preview going to be paid closer to Christmas, but right now it's free, so take advantage of it. And if you ever want to clear out your filters, just hit this little icon here, and that'll take you back to to the main page where nothing's filtered out. So let's go back over to the analysis. Let's see. Tucker, you saw that nugget. He might be interesting. Not as high on that. Igbuka, if Mayfield comes out aggressive, which is definitely possible, then we could see a decent game out of him in this one. He's done well against the Saints in the past, but he's also had a few duds, and this could be a run game. Especially with Mayfield's shoulder hurt, they may want to just lean more on the run in this one and give Bucky Irving an opportunity. That makes me like Bucky Irving as well. Let's see. Godwin, kind of interested in Godwin. They could decide to get him going in this one. That would be interesting for Godwin. Tight ends, Johnson, he's been getting the targets. Don't forget, he's got that shower narrative with Shuck, but it's not leading to many DraftKings points. He did have that 19-point week before the bye, but other than that, he could be interesting in this one. The Bucks are giving up, they're giving up 12.4, so it's a middling matchup. Bucks, like I said, been more vulnerable to the pass game. So if Shuck in the pass game are able to do something in this one against the Bucks and force the Bucks into more competitive game, we got a good value on Baker Mayfield, by the way, at 5,800. Since he's been slowed down a little bit, he's come down from close to 7K. Now he's down to 5,800. So I don't hate going with Mayfield stacks. These are the best games for Mayfield stacks when everybody's off of them. So, another opportunity there for us. And only thing is the 8.5 point spread. I might lean more towards, Bucky Irving and going with a Saints stack. Cincy Buffalo. This is one of the big games of the week. We got a 52.5 point total in this one. Buffalo is 5.5 point favorites playing in Buffalo. So this one, since he's been really good against the receivers, They've been vulnerable against the run, obviously, and tight end. They are the worst team in the league against tight ends. Another reason why I picked Isaiah Likely last week. But we got Dalton Kincaid in that matchup coming off injury. So he's got a knee injury on top of, like the hamstring injury that he had earlier in the season. So he's a little banged up, but he's in like the best possible matchup that you can ask for. Cincinnati has been giving up 27.4 DraftKings points a game to the tight end position, which is absurd. That's not even what's, like some of the best matchups for running backs are getting. So Dalton Kincaid, every time he's been the go-to guy in Buffalo, he's had, big games, and he's been a captain option for me a couple times and come through this season already. I like Dalton Kincaid a lot in this matchup. As far as wideouts, I'm not interested in any Buffalo wide. They're all just Jags. You saw it with Houston when I picked Houston to win over Buffalo a couple weeks ago on Showdown. A big part of that was because they don't have any receiving weapons. And I don't think Kincaid was even playing in that game, but their receiving weapons are just terrible. They're all Jags replacement level guys. And I don't like him against Cincy, with Cincy having a good secondary. Since he's been more vulnerable to the run, that's why I like Cook this week. And Cook is capable of putting up a monster game against Cincy's defense. Cincy's been giving up, 33.2 DraftKings points a game to the running back position. So I like Cook a lot. I like Allen in this. I don't know if I'd put Allen and Cook together, but I think you can do that. And then maybe put Kincaid in there too. You can run it back with Buffalo's been most vulnerable to the slot, giving up 12.6 DraftKings points. And we've seen Chase running a lot in the slot. So Chase would be in a good situation there. This is another game with, playoff level implications. Cincinnati needs to win this game desperately to stay in the hunt. So, Buffalo needs to win too. They're in second place in their division. They're playing for a wild card spot. So this is a huge game on top of already being, like between two juggernaut type teams, offenses. So, just big implications all around. Chase Brown has a great matchup against Buffalo. We've been targeting Buffalo with running backs. They're giving up 28.6 DraftKings points a game to the running back position. So all sorts of good matchups. We got Higgins coming off of a concussion. Higgins, he could be in play. I don't hate using Burrow against this team. I think that the defense on Buffalo is a little overrated. So I don't mind. And we're missing Joey Bosa. Let's go and look at the injuries real quick. Let's go and look at Buffalo's injuries real quick. Terrell Bernard is out. Joey Bosa is out. That's Bernard's more of a benefit to the Chase Brown matchup. Darius Slay is, I can't remember if he signed with Buffalo and then he retired. But they're weak at the cornerback position. Hamlin is still out too. Taylor Rapp is out. Bernard, those guys are safeties anyway. So the safety position is weak too. Bernard out, Bosa out. The Bosa news is and Ed Oliver is still on IR. So yeah, so their pass rush isn't going to be as good, and that's going to set up Joe Burrow to have a decent game in this one. Maybe he'll have time to throw it. As far as his ownership, Joe Burrow is coming in at around 5%. I think people are overrating this Buffalo defense. Burrow's coming in at 5%. He's at 6,500. I like the matchup for him, honestly. Like, I think he's going to come out aggressive. Josh Allen has not been great recently. He's at 7,700. He's obviously going to be in play though. And if I was stacking this, I'd probably go Burrow, Chase, and maybe Chase Brown. and then run it back with Kincaid and or Cook. Go for the full game stack there. We'll try that out when we're building lineups. Denver, Vegas. This one we're looking at a 40.5 point total. Denver as 7.5 point favorites. Vegas giving up 24.8 DraftKings points a game to the running back position. So we got running back in play for us with Harvey. He hasn't not been great. He would have had a terrible game last week, but he had 2 touchdowns. So he had a 2.7 average, and he hasn't gotten over 3 since week 8. But maybe they do it in this matchup. He's at 5,700. Not interested in anyone on Vegas's side. I might be interested in Franklin. He runs a decent amount out of the slot where Vegas has also been vulnerable. He's been losing snaps recently. Let's go over and see what their snaps are. Going to Denver. Franklin went down from 74.66 down to 53. And we've seen Pat Bryant bumping way up. He's at 70. So Pat Bryant could be a sneaky play for us this week at 3,400. Another value guy for us to keep track of. 7 targets and 6 targets the last couple weeks. So Pat Bryant, RJ Harvey, not really interested in much else in this one. You could do Brock Bowers, but I'm guessing that they're going to treat Brock Bowers like their wide receiver 1 and put, like Surtain on him, or he's going to face a lot of Surtain in this one. So do what you want with Brock Bowers and that information. He's at 6K, not super high on it, but Denver is giving up 17.4 DraftKings points a game to tight ends, but they're going to put more defensive focus on Brock Bowers than they normally would for tight ends. Rams versus Arizona, another popular one. This is going to be a 47.5 point total with the Rams as 9.5 point favorites in this one. Brissett, 20 plus DraftKings points every week. I have not used him on this train, and he's got the profile of the quarterback that I usually use. He's not cheap anymore, though. He's at 5,700. So it's only a matter of time before they're able to, before he's not putting up this many points. But the second half of these games where he's playing catch up mode, he's just putting up a lot of throws and a lot of yardage. So he's been getting there in the second half, playing from behind, and this game script is no different. So, use him if you think he can pay off for you. With the Rams, the Kyron Williams has the best matchup. They're giving up 25.3 DraftKings points a game to the running back position, setting up Williams. Don't really like anyone else on the, let's see. Well, Devontae Adams. Adams and Nakua, both in play. Cardinals don't have a bad secondary, but let's see what teams have been doing against them. Going over to Football Guys. I want to see the game logs against by team. We'll go to Arizona. We're going to check out the wideouts. All right, so receiving yards. We had 100 receiver with Ted McMillan. Pearsall got 100 on him. Smith and Jigaba only got 79. Ridley got 131 on him. CeeDee Lamb had a decent game, and Pickens. We saw Smith and Jigaba get 93 on the second time. Parker Washington and Jacoby Myers both touchdowns against them. And Igbuka Godwin had a decent game against them last week. So that's a slot receiver. Smith and Jigba's a wideout. CeeDee Lamb slot. Ridley wide out, Pearsall wide out, McMillan wide out. So yeah, so some wideouts have had decent games against them. Let me share that screen over with you guys again. We've seen the wideouts: McMillan, Pearsall, Ridley. Then they cleaned up their act a bit, and they haven't had a 100-yard receiver since Ridley back in week 5. So they have been vulnerable. They got a good secondary. They got a good cornerback in there. But Nacua and Adams, they could go off at any time. I would lean Adams in this matchup. But he's basically the goal line wide receiver, scoring touchdowns left and right. And don't be surprised if we see an Adams touchdown in this one. McBride, always going to be in play. He's at $8K now. He's getting ridiculously priced, but he's putting up monster numbers with Brissett as the quarterback. So he's in play for us. And then we got both the Rams defense in play too. Just grab another drink, guys. All right, last game. Another playoff implication game between Chicago and Green Bay. This one we're looking at a 43.5 point total with Green Bay as 6.5 point favorites. I kind of like Jordan Love in this matchup. Chicago is giving up 19.7 DraftKings points a game to the quarterback position. I think this game has a potential to be a lot more competitive than 6.5 points. And they're playing in Chicago, I believe. No, they're playing in Green Bay. But, the defense of Green Bay plays a lot better at home. So there is that. But I do think that Williams is obviously capable of, potentially having a decent game in this one. I do like Luther Burden in this game with Odunze out. I've used Odunze was what got, Burden's what got me the 87x return on the underdog pick 'em early in the season. I projected him to get a touchdown, which he did for us. And in a situation this week with Green Bay giving up 20.1 DraftKings points a game to wideouts, so they are a little bit vulnerable to wideouts. So I do like Burden at that cheap price tag at 3,800. On the Green Bay side, Chicago's giving up 23.7 to wideouts, and that's going to benefit Christian Watson the most. Watson, I liked him on Thanksgiving as well. He put up a decent game. I think we could see a good game out of Watson. He's getting more pricey, though, at 5,200. And we're looking at Reed still on IR. Matthew Golden should be back this week. Golden being back takes away my love for Dontavian Wicks. Otherwise, I would like Wicks in this game, especially against man coverage. If looking at the man coverage of this matchup, so the Bears are running man coverage at a top 8 rate, and they're healthier now at their secondary. Man coverage is where we got Christian Watson, 26% target rate. According to PFF, 0.55 fantasy points per route run. Romeo Doubs is at 25% target rate with 0.51. So he's in play. Wicks, 29% target rate versus man coverage with a 6.61 fantasy points per route run. He's the standout against man coverage. So if Golden is out, look for Wicks to have another decent game in this one. But if Golden's in, unfortunately, they just don't use Wicks enough. So Really liked him last week on last week's slate. He came through big time. Won me part of the reason I won that 9K on and came in first in that DraftKings showdown contest, and did well in the main slate too because I liked him on the main slate. Dubs was the other guy. Dubs just not getting the output recently. He had 12 DraftKings points last week. Prior to that, not much to write home about, but he's an alternative to Christian Watson this week in a game that should be competitive. And I do like Luther Burden. I think the attention will be on DJ Moore. He's at 4,800 though. If you need another option there, and then you got Loveland, who's been picking up in the targets recently. Green Bay has been giving up 10.5 DraftKings points a game to the tight end position. So, my main guys are going to be the Green Bay side here. And let's start with building these lineups. Make sure to hit the like button. Give me the 70 likes so I can put those insights in there for you guys. Make sure to go over to sportnuggets.com right now. Sign up for a Sport Nuggets account and get free access to the beta preview for the next couple weeks. Take advantage of that. Leave it open on game day. Engage. Write your comments on your favorite Nuggets. That stuff stands out, and we could mention it on the show. Like if we get a good comment on something on a guy that stands out. So yeah, definitely be active and engaged over on there with your comments and your likes and your favorites. You can favorite these Nuggets too, which will put it into a like a favorite pool for you. So if I let's say I liked, let's see, let's say I like this this Adam Thielen nugget. I want to favorite it. Boom, goes to my favorites. I can go over here to my account and look up my favorites, and then boom, you get your favorites under your favorite section. So easy way to keep track of the Nuggets that you like. So make sure to go over there and do all that. And let's go back to building our lineups. So I'm going to go with Jordan Love as my first build here. I'm going to stack him with Watson, like I said I liked. And I'm going to give it Burden too. And, I think we can't get away from the Cincy Buffalo game this week. I'm going to go with Cook. And I'm going to put Kincaid in there too. And for a wide receiver, I'd love to get Chase in there. We're going to see how that's going to work out as far as the value goes. With defense, let's find a good defense for this week. Let's go with the Titans against Cleveland. Because Shadir Sanders, as much as I would like to see a good game out of Sanders, if I'm using him, like he's perfectly capable of putting up a not good game. In the flex, I'm going to go with Isaiah Likely and get some salary relief in here. It's going to leave me with 8,800 for my final running back position. I can put Achane in there. I can put Robinson, Henry, Irving, any one of these cheaper guys, and then get like someone pricier in that flex position. If I wanted to, could I get Jamar Chase in that flex? I already got him in here. Even better. So, I mean, you guys saw that what can be done there, and that's stacking a couple games that have big playoff implications. Let's clear that out. Let's go with one of these cheap stacks. Let's see. We can go with the Shuck stack. We can go with the... I didn't get anyone from this game in there. Let's hope that the heavy rains cancel that game out. I'm gonna get let's get a Sanders zone in there. I'll put that nugget that I create. I'm going to put that as an insight so you guys can see it in the insights what was said between Cam Ward and Shadir Sanders. So we got Sanders in the captain, or in the quarterback. I like Judkins too, by the way. I'm not sure if I mentioned that. Let's see. I'm going to stack him with, I could go with Judy or Tillman. Let's go with Judy just to get the safe guy in there. Let's look at our running back options. Let's get Cook in there. I'm not gonna even run it back with anybody because I'm looking for a Sanders touchdown here, rushing touchdown. Let's go to defense and let's even give it. I don't hate using the Titans D in this too because it can still be a low scoring game and have these guys have good points. We'll put that in there for now. Going to wideouts. Let's get Chase in this one too, and let's get so we got Chase to Cook. Let's look at some of these other playoff implication games. Tyler Warren. Let's get him in there. All right, so running back. Let's go ahead and get Achan in here. $4,300 per guy. Let's get Likely in. And that's going to leave us with $5,600 for a receiver. And that puts us in the range of Michael Wilson. I didn't mention him in Arizona, but obviously with Marvin Harrison out, he's set up for a boatload of targets. 18 targets a couple weeks ago and 15 targets last week or 2 weeks ago. Was not doing anything until Harrison went out last week, and he ended up with 7 targets for only 6.6 DraftKings points. Pittman. We got Pittman available here. You know what? Let's go with let's see what happens if we put we can't get McBride in there. So Warren. If we wanted to, let's go with Burden as our value play. And it leaves us with 4,900. If we go 4,900, we would have Pollard and Spears as options. Let's see. We would have Jordan Addison, Mooney, a couple guys we've talked about throughout the show. Adonai Mitchell is an option there. So we got Mechie. Got a bunch of options there. You could go with DK. And we got Shaheed down there as well. So if we went with Shaheed, we could probably swap out the Titans D. 3,400 gives us a few more options. Nothing much better than the Titans. So a lot of ways that you can go here if you use like Sanders, a Sanders stack. If you wanted to, instead of Judy, if we wanted to go with Tillman, that would get us to Cleveland's D if we wanted to use them, and still have $500 if we wanted to upgrade on Shaheed here. If we wanted to go back down to the Titans D, that would give us $5,700 for that flex spot. That gives RJ Harvey, bumps us up a little bit. Jacoby Myers, Kenneth Walker, Michael Wilson. So I mean, that puts us in a pretty good spot. But we got a few wild cards in this lineup. So do with that what you will. And let's do one more. Let's go Indy Jacksonville and stack this one a little bit like I was talking about. Let's go Jones to Pittman. I'd probably want to double stack in this one. I think Jones has been running less. He's been hurt. All right, so we got Jones to Pittman and Warren. Let's run it back with Jacoby Myers. He's been the guy that they've been going to. We'll put Cook in there. Cook's my favorite running back probably on the slate. And let's just get Achane in there, see where it leaves us. Defense, we need to go down to Titans on this one. We need some salary. We can get Burden. It's a good thing I have a few, cheap picks that I like in this one. So it's giving us plenty of options. And 4,400 in the flex, puts us right in that, Michael Carter. It gets us in that Shaheed range that I liked. If we wanted to, we can take Burden out. Let's put Likely in. And leaves us with 5,100. We go for that final wide receiver spot. We got like Alec Pierce, Addison, Dubs, Mooney, a bunch of guys, Mitchell. All those guys are in play this week. So a lot of options there. All right, let's do the 9 stack. Let's see what we can do with a 9 stack here. They got the good weather, playing in a dome, or they got no weather playing in a dome. So we're gonna go with McCarthy. I'm gonna give him a double stack. Let's give him Jefferson and Addison. They're both cheap. And let's run it back with McLaurin. Let's get Cook in there. Let's get Achane. For defense, let's go ahead and put in the Titans D. Let's put Likely in the tight end. See where it gives us for flex. 5,700 for our flex. RJ Harvey again. Jacoby Myers. So we got options there. We wouldn't have Jamar Chase in this one, but we still got exposure to that game with Cook. I mean, there's not a lot of playoff implication in this one except for Likely and Cook. So I would probably want to target a guy from one of those competitive playoff type games. So maybe Jacoby Myers. Let's see. Michael Wilson would be an option. Although it's not like really a playoff contender game. Michael Pittman, definite option there. How much was... Oh, we could put Warren in there too. So we got Warren as an option. We could put Warren in there. And, oops, not Jalen. Let's get Tyler Warren in there. That leaves us with 3,800. That puts us right at Luther Burden. So, some pretty good options there. I like the way it builds this week. I think it's going to be fun. There's all sorts of different directions you can go in. So, make sure to get me to 70 likes and put my favorite insights in there on the sportnuggets.com. Sign up for it right now. Go over there. Just leave it open. Leave that page open and just let it refresh itself. And then just check back every once in a while, see what the news is saying. Get down some rabbit holes in it. If you have any, angles that you want to explore, just type in the player's name and see all the recent what the recent local buzz is on that player. Just use the hell out of it. Like, make your comments, all that stuff, and just have fun with it, because it's a fun rabbit hole to go into if you like doing research on this type of stuff. And make sure to subscribe to the channel, hype the video, all that kind of good stuff. Help me get to 2,400 subscribers, and I will see you guys with an underdog video.